Morning, everyone. My name's Sam Logan, and I'm a hobbyist photographer. And I've been taking photographs for probably 15 years now, and I've done a little bit of YouTube, but I haven't done much in ways of showing off my gear or looking through gear or discussing anything like that. But I've always kind of wanted to do it, so I thought I'd kick it off with a little video about this camera. This is my Leica M6 TTL, and attached to it I've got a 35mm Summilux, which I'm borrowing. And I just thought I'd talk a little bit about this camera and tell you my experience with it. First thing I'll say is that price-wise, it's priced pretty good, around $2,000 or $3,000. I think mine was $2,600, bought here locally in Chicago. And so it's not an exorbitant price for a Leica camera, and especially for one that's going to last you potentially a lifetime. When I was looking at cameras, I thought about buying an MP. That was really what I was walking into the store to get. I said, I'm gonna go buy an MP, and it was expensive, but I was gonna do it because that's what I thought I wanted. When I stacked it up against this camera, first of all, it's a little bit taller. This camera is a little bit taller, so it fit a little bit better in my hand. I noticed that first. The second thing I noticed, which was the deciding moment to buy this instead of the MP, was the shutter dial. And what is different about this, and you probably already know this, is that on the M6 and maybe other Leicas too, I can't remember, the shutter dial moves in line with the meter when you look through the window, okay? And so what I mean by that is that when you're looking at the meter, you have an arrow, and that arrow is pointing in the direction that you need to move the shutter dial, or the shutter speed, or the aperture, in order to get a proper exposure. So when you're looking, the arrow says point that way, you scroll it that way, or you scroll it that way. And if it says point that way, you scroll it that way, or you scroll it that way. The MP is backwards, okay? The arrow points this way, but you gotta turn the shutter that way. And when I compared that to this, and I thought, my God, I'm gonna be able to make a better exposure quicker with this camera. Now, for people who don't need a meter, that's probably not gonna be a big deal. But I didn't grow up with film photography. I grew up with digital photography. And so I'm still learning to do exposures, and it probably handicaps me, to be honest with you. But I think whenever I was a kid and people were learning film photography, they would take out their camera, they would bring a piece of paper and a pencil with them, they would do an exposure, they would write down their settings, and then when they got their film back, they would compare it and see what they did wrong. I just don't have the patience for it, so I'm not gonna do it. Anyway, so I get the meter in the camera. But that was the deciding moment between M6 or MP. Now, I've had M3, and I think the shutter dial spins the same way, but that has no meter, so you don't have to worry about it on that. I've had an M6 before, but it was a 0.58 viewfinder, and this is 0.72, which is my preferred magnification. But I don't, I think that's just because that's what I learned to shoot a Leica on. And I shoot 50mm and 35mm focal lengths. So anyways, I've had the M6 before, but it's 0.58, I got rid of it. I also wanted to try out the aperture priority, and so I had the M7 for a while, and that was good. I can't remember why I abandoned that camera, but we do silly things sometimes. I got rid of it, and I probably won't go back to it because I'm just worried about the electronics breaking down and not being able to be fixed. You see, with this one, the electronics break, and it's still going to work. I can still fire it. The battery goes out or the meter doesn't work, I can still fire this. So I think this is a lifetime camera. I've made a modification to it. I don't know if you noticed, but I scratched off the Leica, I don't know if it's paint. I don't think it's paint. It's kind of like a rubbery substance. But anyways, I scratched it off of here. It was coming off, so I kind of picked at it a little bit. But gosh, after I did it, I really loved the way it looked. And so I went ahead and did the M6. It kind of looks more like a P. And it looks like my old M10P that I used to have. And I really love that camera. But anyways, so this is the M6. I think it's the best of the film bodies of the Leicas. And I think it's future proof, but it also has the meter. So if I were to have to recommend one film body to anybody, I think it would be the M6. I'll tell you about this lens. I think this lens is absolutely gorgeous on this camera. It's too bad it's not mine, it's my buddy John's. And so I have to give it back, but it's a Summilux, and I have taken some digital photos with it and reviewed them, and they look really nice. I don't think I reviewed any of my film photos from it. I've got a stack of film over here. I've got probably 10 rolls waiting to be developed. I'm really excited about, and maybe I'll do some videos about that too. But the Summilux, I wanted to compare it to my Voigtlander 35 1.4 single coat, which I have bought and sold 3 times, and I've bought it this last third time, and now I can't sell it. That's my rule. If I buy something the third time, if I buy it, I have to keep it. So anyway, I've got this Voigtlander 35 1.4. Let me grab it. Probably in my camera bag here. But anyways, I've purchased it a number of times, 3 times now, so I can't sell it. But I've always kind of wondered what's it like to shoot a Leica 35. So anyways, this is the Voigtlander 35mm, and this is the 1.4. And I think they call this a Nocton, but this is just a hell of a deal. It's like $500, and it's a 1.4. I love really wide apertures. I like bokeh. I like a little bit softer images. This one, I put it on my digital ME, and it disappointed a little bit, and so it got me looking around. And then I had a friend who has this lens, and so he let me borrow it. Let's see without the hood. The hood is really nice construction. Let's see if you can see, there's a little, you see this right here? This little incongruency in this line? That's where it unscrews. Isn't that wonderful? Look at that. Okay, so then there's the filter on top, but I've got a filter on this one too. They're very similar in size. Not too much bigger, but it definitely is bigger. So I'm gonna have to review the film photos and see if it is something that I have to have. I think eventually I would love to have a Leica branded 35, just for vanity, I guess. You know, a lot of this camera stuff you can make, if you can't make a photo with what you got, it's probably your fault, not the camera or the lens. And so that, you know, it doesn't matter so much in that way, but it's a vanity thing. But yeah, so anyways, this is just a little bit about the M6, my opinions of it, a little bit of my history with it, and a little bit about this 35 Summilux. So if you have any questions about it, or thinking about buying this camera and want to know my opinion, or where I bought mine, or anything like that, feel free to let me know. Anyway, thanks for watching.